When I set off to build an E30 M3, my goal was always to put an S54 in it. Unfortunately, the S54 that I got used off Facebook Marketplace just wasn't that nice. It did not have the rod bearings replaced, it had a broken timing chain guide, and the block was pretty much covered in rust. But I did a pretty mild rebuild with all new gaskets and some new hardware, some new accessories on the front end, and some new headers, and it looked pretty good, especially after I got it installed. But that was of course after I replaced the entire suspension on this car, put a big brake kit on it, new wheels and tires, did a oil cooler setup, filled up all the fluids, and got this thing ready to go. And to my surprise, it pretty much fired right up. It's trying. Oh, we did spring our first leak of gas. But of course, it wasn't without its issues. Awfully wet up here. Why is that? I don't know. And then I made this dumb comment. We're gonna drive it in the next one. First order of business, opening up some packages for some goodies. And what's in these packages is surely gonna be needed to be able to drive this. I don't think it has to be mentioned, but there's no exhaust on this car. Other than headers, that's all that's connecting this engine to, well, any kind of sound muffling at all. The issue is none of these things were meant to go together. And that's because this is a hodgepodge of exhaust parts. And somehow I've got to take all these pipes and make them work in my E30 M3. I've got a 325 exhaust for an E30. I have an S54 up front with headers, and then I have a midsection exhaust for an E46 M3. So I got to figure out a way to make this all work. It's going to be easier said than done. But I told myself I wanted to learn how to TIG weld. I haven't attempted to TIG weld in like over a year. This is the time to learn. This is the brand new OBD11-3, and it's going to fix something that's really annoying on the G80 that I haven't figured out how to do until now. And rather than just tell you about it, let me show you. And if you'd like to get one of these, you can get one with a 25% off discount by using discount code MATT in the link below. I love that the app is super simple and you can actually leave the device in the OBD2 port of your car and it won't drain your battery. OBD11 couldn't be any easier to use. You just plug it in, connect it to your phone, and you're good to go. And just like that, it found 7 faults. Curious what these are. Yeah, seems like a bunch of nonsense. And we'll clear it. Now that that stuff is clear, I want to get into what I'm really excited for, the coating. And this is good. This is, I'm glad it has this because this has been bugging the crap out of me. There's no way for me to get rid of this stuff. Like this is all stuff that has to happen at the dealer. So I think OBD11 can do that for me. Engine oil reset. Yes. All right, it said it did it. Oh, that's awesome. Do I need to do anything else? Vehicle check, reset as well. This is great. These things have been bothering me for such a long time, but thanks to OBD11, you can do this at home. Thank you OBD11 for sponsoring this video, but for more importantly, getting rid of that annoying engine oil service light on the G80. And if you want to get your own, I've got a discount code, it's MATT, and I've got a link in the description box as well. And there are so many more examples of coding. For instance, I can open and close the trunk with the key now. Thanks OBD11. I'm going to start at the back and work my way forward. I'm going to start with this beautiful little Turner muffler, which should just bolt up to the car, along with this section and this section. I mean, look at that X-pipe. If my welds look 10% as good as that, I'll be really happy. So got new exhaust bushings as well. And this will sit like that. Okay, that one down there doesn't get used. I can remove that. There is something I want you guys to keep in mind as I get later in the video customizing this exhaust. I'm not a pro, I'm not a fabricator, I'm just a guy who does this at home in his garage. But as you'll see later in the video, I'm pretty happy with how this exhaust turns out. Okay, there's that. It's obviously not going to hold itself without the rest of the exhaust, but it's there. Each section of this exhaust is fully stainless steel. I stuck a magnet to all parts of it and it didn't stick at all. So this is going to be a high quality exhaust that should last for the life of the car. And it looks fantastic too. I believe this is supposed to go here, at least on the 325s, different on the M3s, but that lines up perfectly. I just got to get rid of that little nub on the back, but that seems spot on. And despite all of your and all of my best efforts to get Sprayway to sponsor me, it just hasn't happened. That's why you see me using silicone spray from Amsoil, because Amsoil sent me a whole load of products, and so far I've loved every one of them. And to mount this exhaust mount, I'm going to use my favorite tool, a rib nut.
See, what's nice about that is I still have plenty of up and down movement for adjustment, and even some side to side and angles as well. Oh, that's nice. I like that a lot. OEM plus, or OEM-ish. Okay, that's all solidly mounted, all 3 mounts. On to next section. Not bad. I'm guessing this is about where the bolt-on part of this exhaust is going to end. But it looks pretty cool so far. Actually, it might not be terrible. If that's the case, I just got to go from there to there, move up some mounts, all that good stuff. Since there's a connection point here, I'll end up zapping off these flanges, and that will just weld directly to that. So somehow I may get away with just doing 1 set of welds on this whole exhaust, which is crazy. Then I got to figure out these mounts. I got to figure out how to mount that up for sure. But I think this is going to turn out pretty nice. My welds probably won't, but I'll give the old college try. So naturally, without any support at all, this thing like fits perfect. There's like a nice finger gap under the transmission mount. It all leads back to here. I gotta do something about this. Okay, for now, I think I'm just gonna hack them right before this bend. Keep these straight. I think I just need to chop off these flanges, and dude, this might be like best case scenario. Might not have to do a single bend or curve.
Keep in mind, I was expecting to have to do way more work to put these 3 different exhausts together, but so far it's looking like this is going to be 1 cut, 1 weld. Well, 2 cuts and 2 welds for 2 pipes, but you know what I'm saying.
Not bad.
It was working so well, I actually took it all back apart just because I couldn't believe it. But when I put it back together, it still lined up.
So these are going to work perfectly. I basically just need to get rid of the reducer section, and that should weld up perfectly with that other mid pipe, center pipe, whatever you want to call it. Same with that one too.
Mocking up this entire exhaust has gone way too easy, so now it's time for the actual difficult part, and the part that I have very little experience in. Exhaust fitment is very important, but also equally important is fit up of your metal before welding. The tighter the fit up, the easier it is to TIG weld. At least that's what I read on the internet.
Beautiful. Nice. You have a exhaust that's, well, staying there by itself. Pretty doggone cool. All right, now I actually have to do the hard part of the welding.
And as usual, the ESAB Rebel 205 did a perfect job at tacking these pipes together. Really pleased with the quote-unquote fab part of this project so far, but it all comes down to the TIG weld, which I have almost no experience in.
I for sure need more room for welding.
No big fancy fab shop here, so when I need to fabricate, well, I've got to move a bunch of cars around, but I make it work. Just like most of you guys at home probably have small garages really similar to mine. Does anyone else plug their welder into their laundry outlet, or is it just me? I've been using this ESAB Rebel throughout this project, but I haven't used the TIG setting on it at all yet. I've been MIG and spool gun only. So I took my time and got my new TIG torch set up all perfectly because, well,
I don't know what I'm doing. Gonna start with some practice welds, the same exact material that I'll be welding for the actual exhaust, because it's the exhaust parts that I cut off. Hey, I got a tack that looks decent. That looks really decent.
And looking at these tacks, I wish I actually would have used the TIG to tack it underneath the car rather than the MIG, but now I know for next time.
Nice. So far this ESAB machine is working amazingly, as expected. Now, but it's time for the actual hard part. All right, don't dip the tungsten mat. Huh. Airballed that, for sure.
I've watched countless YouTube videos on how to TIG, TIGging for beginners, everything you could think of, and it just is always so much harder than it looks. I struggle so much with stainless steel. When I TIGged aluminum on the LS1 swap E36, it turned out pretty decent, especially for my first try, but man, stainless steel is something else.
Well, it's going about how I expected it to go. This is so difficult. Shout out to all you fabricators out there. I don't know how you do it. I'm gonna keep trying, I'm gonna keep practicing. I got a couple good welds, I've got a couple awful welds, I've got a couple holes I've blown through. I'm trying to keep the frustration at a minimum, but I gotta hack this mount off because there's no way I'll be able to weld inside there with this mount on. No, that's not gonna work. Oh, of course the strap is stainless too, so that makes it even more fun. All right, that's better.
I was sure to sand and clean all the welding areas and the welding rod itself before each weld, so I don't think contaminants was the issue here. I think it's just purely skill, or lack thereof.
Well, here's the situation, guys. I am out of gas and out of time. So while I want to keep practicing, and I will keep practicing, for this part, I'm going to switch back to the MIG. Oh boy, I might not even have enough for the MIG. It's at pretty much 0. And after the MIG welding, it turned out really nice. Needed absolutely no grinding at all. All right, maybe, but just... Okay, it needed a shit ton of grinding.
While this didn't turn out as good as I had hoped, as good as what I had pictured in my head, it's still pretty decent.
It's an exhaust.
Meanwhile, after cleanup, a whole bunch of goodies from ECS Tuning showed up to complete my cooling system. And of course, it's all custom because it's a custom engine swap. I needed a new level sensor, a coolant radiator cap, and then the hose that goes from the coolant reservoir to the radiator, and the hose that goes from the coolant reservoir to the engine itself. And for these projects, rather than having ugly stainless steel hose clamps everywhere, I use these gator clamps which heat shrink and hold everything together to make it look more OEM. That way there's only one clamp where it attaches to the reservoir, and then the stock clip that goes into the engine. And you guys always ask, those gator hose clamps, I'll have linked in the description box below. You can grab them on Amazon. I absolutely love them. I have a stockpile of them here in the garage. I started using them on my LS1 swapped E36, and I never looked back. And once I ran the smaller hose to the radiator, that is a completed and hopefully sealed cooling system.
I'm guessing one of the reasons this thing wasn't really running at all is because I had no math hooked up, and I'm going to be running an alpha and tune. And to do that, I'm using the Turner IAT relocation kit. Super simple. And for now, it's just going to be relocated to, well, the atmosphere, because none of this is permanently set up yet. But at least it has one now, so it should run better. I also need to upload the tune from Arcade Tunes for the alpha N. I've also got to figure out why this is leaking.
When I got this running last video, this thing was seeping out fuel from the top, but I couldn't really figure out where. So naturally, I took it all apart, found absolutely nothing wrong, did a little bit of cleaning, and put it back together. Oh, I did add some silicone spray to that O-ring that sits on top, so maybe that helped.
I'm gonna try that and just watch it and see what happens. Don't see any leaks right now.
Yep, silicone spray fixed the leak. And that means I could flash the ECU with Arcade Tunes' new map. Seemingly, I fixed everything else, which meant I could finally put my new custom exhaust in, of course, once adding all the gaskets between all three different sections.
You know, there's something you guys are always telling me to do in my videos, especially when I lay underneath old rusty cars. Can't put a finger on it. Oh, right in the freaking eye. That's a completed exhaust that I'm really happy with, other than my welding. Even the tips are pretty darn good. Could use a little adjustment, but good enough for now.
Looking back, this exhaust looks phenomenal. It has pretty good clearance, but it should have plenty of volume or flow, if you will, because I don't want to restrict the exhaust. I was told to keep it duals, and that keeps the torque number up. The question is going to be, is it all sealed, and is it going to sound at least halfway decent?
I guess it's time to fire it up and see what it sounds like, or at least, hopefully it fires up. So since last time, it has a proper tune, no fuel leak, and a full exhaust. Figured out the problem, I think. I think I need to plug these ICZ valve or something, some kind of valve that's sucking air. Because I think it goes to that, but I think I'm missing like a 90 or something, so I can't actually connect it to that thing. So plug it up, see what happens now. And actually, I don't even need the intake manifold on there. It's trying. I got it.
I got it running, but then heard this horrible, horrific, terrible noise, and it was coming from around the engine.
That noise really freaked me out, because tell me it doesn't sound eerily similar to this. It's got some noises.
It doesn't sound good.
It was making a horrible ruckus earlier, but now it sounds fine and it's running freaking perfect. Yeah, I think the power steering pump is making some freaking noise. But then I turn the wheel, yeah, and then it goes away. So the pump might be shot or it just needs to fill up and get bled. Sounds like the clutch works. It's pretty quiet though, which is good. It's what I wanted. I also don't, there's that friggin' noise again. I also don't hear any exhaust leaks or anything. I'm pumped. Oh. I totally forgot. Got to put coolant in the cooling system, or at least distilled water for now. That's a gallon so far, so if that doesn't leak out, I'll start mixing in some concentrated coolant. For an S54, this thing sounds pretty good. Hell yeah. Freaking run it perfectly. And since this isn't leaking anymore, it runs with no leaks, and it's running phenomenally. It'll be better once I get a full intake manifold in there and button everything up completely. Now the goal was to drive the car in this video, but I set that bar way too high last video because, well, I still have stuff to wrap up in the engine bay. I got to put the dash back in and make sure all the wiring is put back together. I got to put a seat in it. I got to buy and install a shifter. I didn't wire up the fan yet. Oh, and there's still a hole in the brake line. And I'm sure I'm forgetting things too. So I'm going to aim for next video to be driving this thing, have it down on all fours and pull it out of the garage. Oh, and one more thing. A certain car is still in the way, so I couldn't even pull it out anyway. This is turning out to be a whole story in and of itself that I'll get into in another video. What a disaster.